Hello, I'm AbbyX Toycat, and welcome back to Random City. This is a city that I'm slowly building, with every single build being made from random blocks. And the way we get those random blocks, whether it's 6 for this build, 5 for this build, 4 for this one, and you might be able to guess the number we're using today. And the way we make these blocks truly random is by using the random Minecraft block generator, something which I found to be a lot of fun because you type in a number of blocks and then you find out that, oh god, you're building with brown concrete, polished andesite, and cracked nether bricks. For real, cracked nether bricks is one of my 3 blocks, and the answer is yes. For real, we have to now make that work, which is half the fun in all of these videos, is that it's very hard to work with certain blocks, but we have to try our best to do so anyway, and that's what we're doing in today's video, working with cracked nether bricks and brown concrete. You know, okay, sure. Fortunately, I do have myself a cocoa bean farm for this very situation. It's actually very fun to set up. For a whole bunch of reasons, but I just have a whole ton of cocoa beans lying around anyway, if I'm not mistaken. An automatic cocoa farm is something that nobody needs. However, because I've had one for long enough and you don't really need that many cocoa beans, I do have enough that I can do basically anything, including a whole stack, I guess 8 stacks, of brown concrete should I want them. In fact, this is probably too many. I'll just bring half a stack with me, and we'll leave the rest of the lovely brown cocoa beans over here while we go make some brown concrete. Because today we're not just going to be building another random block build with 3 random blocks, but also I'm going to be preparing for another random build connected all up. An idea I've seen a lot that I really do enjoy and I want to do myself is I want to build the pathway, the road between all the buildings out of random blocks itself. I think it'd be a fun live stream so we could do like a little bit of interactivity, but I'm going to have a ton of random blocks and then I'm going to be using chat as my random for that one. So that'll be a lot of fun. But for now, let's grab some polished andesite, and indeed, let's polish our own andesite, which is very easy to do. Look how fun and interactive this crafting recipe is. And then let's go and work on cracked nether brick. I have a ton of regular nether bricks. How do you crack them? Do you just throw them in the furnace? Am I just cracking some bricks on... You know, I guess we are. Let's find out. Is it the furnace? It makes sense if it's the furnace. I just also don't fully understand why. You know, why did they introduce them? And then why is this the recipe? Oh, my okay, yep, cracked nether bricks. They happen that way. So we'll be smelting some up using our magic smelting system that is currently running a little over capacity, while at the same time making some brown concrete powder. Honestly, with this amount of concrete, it can get a little bit annoying turning it into the blocks themselves, because you can't magically turn concrete powder into concrete. You have to do something a little bit more fun, which is putting it next to some water. Wow, look at this. Magically... Wait, how does this become... Oh, there's a gap there. That's interesting. You know, could you spot there was a gap there? Maybe you could. But yeah, we can stack ourselves all the way up, which is maybe slightly fun. But I always like to play around with the fact that concrete powder is one of the few gravity affected blocks, which means we can do this in a much more fun way. That's right, we can place the blocks right off the edge like this. It's going to be very, very delicious. Delightful? Delicious isn't a good word for this. You know, delicious is a good word for everything. What is a human's favorite feeling? Delicious. We all want to feel great in some ways. And also, this is a fun reminder that the current distance, render distance for realms, in case you don't know, when you're on a server, you don't control your render distance, and this is true for realms too, because obviously the server is the one that has to give you the chunks to render in, and on realms they're kind of stingy with it. They give you very low render distance, which most of the time you don't care too much about until times like right now. But I realized that given that this sugarcane farm is going to be growing in Minecraft 1.18, sorry, the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update, when the world height actually gets risen, given that this is going to be, raising in that way, it means that I'll be able to see even less of the world from the top of the new farm. And although part of me likes that, I think that's a big sign that Realms has to increase its render distance. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the people who make the money and the people who make the decisions are entirely different people. I don't know for sure. All I know is I want to see that my brown concrete is actually hitting something. Oh god, it's not. Where is it going? It's just turning into a stack of blocks down here. Oh, there's a sign at the bottom. I picked the one place on basically this entire farm where it wouldn't turn into concrete. Fine, I'll be boring and I'll just stack myself up. I mean, if that's what you really want me to do, Minecraft, you could have just asked nicely. And so yeah, this is entirely my own doing, and I'm gonna blame the outside world anyway, which is maybe my theme I'd like to talk about in this week's Let's Play, because the Let's Play, if you don't know, is not just a weekly update to what's going on in my Let's Play world, but as well as, what's been going on in my life. I don't have a vlog-style series, so this is the closest thing we've got to a little bit of a life update from ToyCat, in case you want one. If you don't want one, then bad news, it's the internet, you're kind of stuck here anyway. Actually, you're free to leave at any moment. But the interesting thing about that little kitty being there. The interesting thing, why is there a hole that size? The interesting thing about my last week is I got myself an electric bike recently, and it's been really fun going for bike rides around London. I really do think that just being able to hop on a bike, go places, it's really, really fun. I think it's one of the. I've always enjoyed just exploring places, going places, and driving in big cities is very stressful. Everyone knows that. Trying to, public transport can only take you so far, and it's only, so. You get the point. It's kind of samey after a while. Whereas it almost is like an adventure. It's just hop on the bike and go. So yeah, I got a new e-bike. It's very, very fun. I've been making some videos on the third channel too, so it's been fun to have some passions. And I think in general, it's really fun to me because it's I used to be a big e-scooter rider. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that here on this channel, but I used to be really big into riding an electrical scooter. But that's fully not illegal, fully illegal, and it's been because it looks so illegal, gets you stopped all the time, and it makes me realize something kind of crazy about basically the criminal system when, again, if you did have an illegally modified e-bike that worked like an e-scooter but just looked like a bike, and this sounds like a fun hypothetical, but you see this all the time around London where there are pedals on mopeds, but the pedals they're not actually accessible or usable, but they look like pedals, and people are like, oh yeah, well then someone would have to dispute it, and you'd need an expert to be able to prove that this is illegal, whereas you can just look at an electric scooter and go, yeah, I'll have that one, I will. And it makes you realize how much of again, this is one of the universal truths that kind of hurts to hear, is that the thing that makes people not commit crimes is not usually, the punishment for being caught. It's whether they think they'll be caught and what they think will happen if they do. I think that even just using the idea of shaming people, oh, yeah, imagine how embarrassing it'll be if I'm caught without this ticket or without a license, and what an awkward conversation that would be. Oh, I can't deal with that. I do think making life awkward for people who commit crimes is genuinely one of the biggest ways you can discourage them. But I also think that it's funny by itself when you think about it that way. That oh yeah, I don't care about my community. I just care about the vague, awkward feeling and feeling bad in my head and my heart. But also that a lot of it just comes down to do you look like you? So much of it comes down to do you look like you're doing something bad? People always raise the point that, oh yeah, people are always committing, I know, there's a whole bunch of white-collar crime that's happening all the time, but it looks exactly like white-collar work, whereas, when you look at the working-class equivalent of, working-class work looks very different to working-class crime, and that's why, something, crime is inherently a system that focuses on certain people over others. But I actually do think that it's always shocking when you see it firsthand for yourself. When people are super, super cynical to you about the world, you can always just ignore them and be like, yeah, that's really fun. Thank you for your story about how actually, the whole world and every system is set up solely for the purpose of, I don't know, harvesting our organs. Thank you. Yeah, very, very cool opinion you have there. Yeah, great. Most cynical opinions that people have is actually just one small bad thing happened to me, and now it's all terrible. In the UK, for instance, in the last... so we've been having shortages of a few things in the UK, but we've been having a fuel shortage. So petroleum is what we call it, or if you are so Americanly inclined, gasolinium. I think a gasoline is short for petroleum gas or whatever it is. But yeah, anyway, you get the point that that magical material that we all care so much about is having a shortage, air quotes, in the UK. And it's interesting because this is the exact same thing to me of jaded people having strong beliefs on certain things. Because, people will say things all the time oh man, it sucks that all these people are buying fuel so that I can't buy fuel. No one else needs it. Everyone is just panic buying, whereas me, when I go out to buy things, I'm doing it because I need the fuel. And it's so there's a ton of people buying things they don't need? Or are they buying things ahead of time of when they need it? Because if they're just buying things ahead of time, then you'd expect that supplies would even out, because in the same way that, like, you know, there's only so much you can use toilet paper, right? You can only use the bathroom so many times a day, unless you're so inclined. Okay, we have to wait for some cracked nether bricks to come in. Honestly, I might be overdoing the cracked nether bricks. What am I realistically gonna do with them? I genuinely don't know. Like, how do these 3 blocks even work in complementary ways? I feel like they're all so different, it looks almost like a flag. Maybe we could build like a little pattern where we offset it by 1 block every time, and that could be cool. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, we could do that a few times, or we could build like a regular-ish looking house, but with 3 very ugly blocks. See, because all the blocks have been ugly so far, I can't even make the ugly blocks like a particularly notable thing about it. So we're gonna have to work out a better solution, which I'll do as soon as all of my nether bricks have finished cracking. Okay, cracked nether bricks acquired, and now we're gonna go off and we're gonna build ourselves something magnificent. Oh, also, we need the item frames, of course. The glowing item frames, I should say. Because even though these things are entirely unnecessary, I realize, like, you can just look at the build if you want to see the random blocks. There is something very fun about seeing, you know, the kind of tasks before each build that I was kind of, you know, made to... I think it's fun. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, maybe your name begins with an E. But all that matters is that we throw these blocks in. We should start going, like, alphabetical order, really. So, like, oh, this actually was alphabetical order. And now, let's make ourselves a beautiful build. And I think, actually, we'll go for a circle for the first time, because that'll make the wraparound effect so much nicer. Maybe. I don't even know. It's been a while since I made a circle, honestly, too. So we just keep rotating between the 3 blocks. So, make 3 lovely spots next to each other here. And then we'll see how it goes, maybe. Yeah, that sounds entirely doable. I guess we'll start with 7 on one side, and then we switch out from 7 to, like, I don't know, 2 or 3, one of those numbers. And then we go from that to 2 or 3, one of those numbers. Okay, let's remove this block. And then, yeah, this is entirely controlled. And then it's like 1, and then it's like 1, and then 1, and then we go to 2 over here again. So now it's brown, and then this, and then it's 3. So it's this, and then... Okay, this is starting to get messy, so we'll fill the rest in later. And then it's, after 3, we go back to 7. And this is going to make a very big circle. We actually might want to downsize a little bit. Like, can I deal with something that has a section this big? Probably not. Okay, you know what, actually, I've decided we probably can, and I'll regret that later. But you know what? Like with everything you regret later, why not do it now? But yeah, there's so many, I don't know, like, you know, the whole, like, during the last, okay, we actually need to move these blocks forwards a block. During the last, you know, like, during the toilet paper situation where everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it because I saw that some were out. And, you know, like, the whole time, everyone was saying things like, oh, yeah, well, this is just caused solely by, you know, media reporting. And, like, it became one of those memes where you would take a picture of the toilet paper section, you'd be like, oh, there's none here. I'd better go to another place so I can buy my toilet paper. And, you know, it's one of those effects that solely started because people believed in it, and because there is a huge profit incentive to report on it, you know, to be like, oh, wow, crazy how you can't buy toilet paper these days. And, you know, like, it's the sort of thing that people... Yeah, again, one of the felt like problematic incentives in, I would say, the world is that there is our major source of consuming information about the world, you know, the major source of things that are happening in our society. Oh, also, we can't build the blocks down here out of the same things. We have to, like, shift those over a block later. We'll work that out. Actually, for now, let's just see if we can even... Let's build over a block, and let's see if that even looks any better. Just so we can get an actual feel for how this should be. It's surprisingly complex to build this, because we're, like, shifting back and forth so often. Yeah, I do like that so far. It's not, actually, we've only 1 block placed. We're going to try 1 more layer up, just to see if it really still stays okay, or if we've made a horrible mistake using these blocks together. Yeah, it's starting to look a bit random more than... Maybe later on it'll be fixed. Maybe the straights will save it all, the bits of the corner where it's all in one row. But the curve kind of messes with the pattern in a way that I'm not sure is good. But yeah, it was one of those things that entirely started that way, and you'd hear things like, oh, this was, entirely the media's fault, or exacerbated by the media. And people love to say the media is a big, broad term, and, it's like, it's an easy way to basically have a target that can't defend itself, because no one works for the media, No one is like, oh, I work for the media, and that's so wrong, because actually, we did this, that, the other. It's like, no one can defend that, because there is no one who it would be defending. And so, I always felt like, it's one of those lazy attack points. Like, I'm sure there was the real problem is that we shift from needing toilet paper in, what is it called? Not industrial settings, like office settings, commercial settings, to needing toilet paper in our homes. And it took a while for the supply chains to shift, because supply chains basically assume everything will stay how it is now forever, which is a big wrong assumption. In a world where things that have never happened before started happening on a daily basis, right? And, so I used to think, like, yeah, it's kind of, like, exaggerated to some extent. Probably, like, everyone wants to believe that it's actually that, but I don't think it actually is. But in the case of, in the UK, there actually was a big old petroleum shortage. And, if you look into it, the media start reporting that there were huge shortages when there was 5 stores across, I think it's like 2,000 in the UK, 5 stores had to close because they hadn't received supplies because of, like, it was actually like a logistical error more than anything else. And then that whole wave sent people going out to their local petrol station to buy petrol while they still could, air quotes, which led to those ones emptying. And the moment, again, it's like one of those repeating waves of, like, every single time someone... every single time the another station ran out, the crisis gets worse. So you can report on the crisis, so more people need to buy petrol, or more people feel the need to buy this thing they think is essential, and so more shortages happen, etc., etc., etc. It's pretty intense to look at happening in real time, in my opinion, for precisely that reason. Just like how did this happen? And the answer is, oh yeah, as it turns out. We are incredibly heavily influenced by a thing that we kind of don't really want in our lives. Again, it's interesting. There's a I said this. I basically alluded to this a minute ago, but like, I've got a clever idea. I'll just place brown on top of purple, and then after I've placed all the brown on top of the purple, we can switch out to placing purple on top of grey, and then grey on top of brown, and that way we should always end up going up, but I think it'll be faster than individually thinking about every block. That's my theory, at least. We'll see if it holds true. But, yeah, I feel like there's always been this, fundamental problem that we all receive news from sources that have an intense interest in making a... Okay, wait, then brown goes on top of what? Brown goes on top of purple. Okay. Maybe it's not so easy when I have to think about it that hard. But we receive our news from this source that has a huge interest in us believing that things are bad, because it is directly profitable to say things are bad and you need to watch us to find out how and why, etc., than it is to be like, yeah, things are okay today. You never see a news headline that is, things actually pretty great on this Wednesday. Maybe they'll get worse tomorrow. And instead, whenever the actual news runs out, because there are inevitably days where brand new things aren't happening at the same rate, when that does happen, then it's like, oh, actually, let's rehash the old debates. Like, have we had a good abortion argument yet? Oh, that's one that people never change their opinions on. We could have a good old debate about that. Or like, how about, ooh, e-scooter, or whatever the thing may be. Like, it'll be pick an old fight and then try and make it seem new by being like, well, local celebrity jumps on board, or whatever the case may be. And this is looking very strange so far, I do have to say. I'm not sure we've done a good thing yet. So let's remove the lower blocks, because I think they're messing up my view of it. And let's go to sleep. Let's get a nice bit of shut-eye in, and then let's hope it looks magically better in the morning. See, people mock this terrible X-shaped house, but isn't it a great house because it has a bed in? Yeah, that's my entire justification for it. But yeah, I'm actually, like, pretty aware of the fact that, like, I am motivated by fear too much sometimes, and I don't like it. I feel like... Oh, is something wrong here? Yeah, it is. Oh no. We were going so well. And then instead of brown, grey, this. We went brown straight to this, then to grey. Oh, it's just these two blocks being messed up. Surprisingly easy to fix. What'd you know? Oh, and then the next one's broken. Actually, wait, it's this brown, grey, this, brown, grey. Okay, that is the correct one. We'll just call them brown, grey, and purple for now. I think keeps things simple. So brown, grey, purple, brown, grey, purple. Okay, we're coming very close to completing the circle now, which is only good news in my opinion. But yeah, I think having people like having incentives for you to do well is a thing that you kind of want and need. Because again, have you ever been like motivated by like, oh god, this thing is only going to be possible for another, you know, like there's all sorts of weird motives people love to use to basically trick our brains into being like, ooh, no. Like even the idea of sales, right? Sales are time limited events. They only happen for a certain amount of time, so you've got to act quickly. And just something about like, oh, if I don't act quickly, then I'll be, you know, like making a worse thing off. Just something about that, like, just reacts to our evolutionary psychology or whatever in a very interesting and weird way. And yeah, I was in an entirely unrelated thought because, you know, how do you find people in your life that are incentivized for you to do well? There's a whole ton of ways you can do so. Wait, does brown go on top of... Yeah, brown goes on top of purple. There's a whole bunch of ways you can do so, of course. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways you can do everything in life, fun fact. But it's like actually a much harder question when you get down to the nitty-gritty of like, what does it even mean when you're saying what you're saying, though, Mr. Cat of the Toy Man? Like, what is real... What do you really mean by incentivized for your, you know, like, doing well? And it does get very complex as to what you even are asking for at some point. Like, yeah, I would like it so that me doing well means other people do well, so they will do their best, so that I will do best. And, you know, like, there's probably a few ways you can set that up, right? Like, what if we had, like, a corporation where if things go well for me, everyone else gets a, you know, perhaps like a bonus or something like that? And then it's like, no, that's people find that mean. They call that stealing the fruits of their labor or something like that. And it's like, okay, what about like in your personal friendships? You could go with something wacky like, you know, when things go well for you, you buy people a round of drinks. When things go bad for you, you complain to them. And it's like, well, actually, because of the way friendship works, if you do that long enough, you won't have friends. Or you just have very annoyed friends. But like, in either case, it's not the outcome that you're probably going for. Yeah, this being such an uneven surface is something I probably should have planned for. I probably still can plan for it if I... Wait, yeah, if I take some of this sand and I place it around the edges, I can make a really cool building where it's got like a dip in the middle. I've always wanted to have a sofa pit, and I can't have one in real life, but I can have one in Minecraft if I believe in myself, I guess. So yeah, we'll curve out around the edges, taking all the sand with us, and making a little dip. That should be fun. And so now we follow the outlines with a very loose little sand pathway that saves me placing blocks in a confusing pattern that I still don't know if it's even going to work in its entirety. It really is me hoping and aiming for the fences here. Swinging for the fences, I think, is the phrase. But yeah, I know, like, the bad sides of everything. So, like, having people who are motivated for you to do well. As much as I like... you know, YouTube, and I like the kind of parasocial thing we have going on here, where somehow I found a lot of people on the internet, if you're watching this video, you're probably one of them, that, like, care about what I have to say enough to, like, show up here every Monday and watch it, or every Wednesday in the case of last week's Let's Play. But, like, you know, people showing up and, you know, caring is really great, but it's still not, like, motivated in success, right? It's motivated to me doing well, probably. You know, if I am mentally better, if I'm not having a mental breakdown, I'm probably making better content. Actually, is that true? I feel like, imagine how great the content would be if I had a full-on, you know, I don't even know. But, like, imagine how great things could be, internet. If we just sacrificed me like a human, like a goat for my health. You know, we could get some great content out. Toycat goes to Rehab, you know, for instance. Speaking of Rehab, by the way, one of the things that, like, I found really dark, but, like, I always want to share it because it's the interesting, like, duality off basically everything humans do. Because, you know, whenever you hear about something like violent video games or rap music or gambling or whatever the current vices on society, genuinely e-scooters, but I'll pass on my e-scooter talk for now. There's always people like talking about like, oh, this is so bad for people. It affects people in this terrible way. But when you look at the actual thing, when you look at drinking or smoking or whatever terrible, you know, like recreational usage of substances that are not meant to be used recreationally, when you actually look at the people doing these things, like, they're most of the time fine. And some of this is that humans have resilience. Like, you can look at humans in the worst situations that you can get someone into, and they're still going to be just about fine, you know? It's not going to be perfectly fine, but they're going to be somewhere in the just about region. But, yeah, right, so one of the examples I always find interesting is gambling. It's like, gambling is just a fun way to spend a little money and potentially make a bit of money. As long as you know that you're not actually making money, you're spending money on entertainment, you're going to have a good time. But because of the way our, like, reward systems are wired in, you know, literally, like, again, kind of going back to, you know, like, in the wild, we need to have certain beliefs. So brown always goes below grey. See, we can use the same information from the way up, but in reverse on the way down, to build our blocks and make this wonderful. But, yeah, like, it's like we have this, like, evolutionary thing where, like, getting consistent rewards isn't as fun as getting random rewards, because, you know, random rewards you have to chase, and so it's strange, and it's something you can do well to remove from yourself, I would even say, or, like, train out for yourself. But, yeah, basically, you know, like, you see a lot of people having fun, and then every now and then you do find, as someone who's spent a lot of time in Vegas, but also other casinos around the world, it's like, yeah, you always see someone who's like, man, oh, wait, this is, damn it, there's another mistake in the system. Do I just, yeah, if I correct it, no one will even notice. I think we just remove this. No, that's definitely meant to be a, yeah, if we look at the pattern, you can see that actually this is meant to be a purple here. And that's, oh, this entire row here is broken, and then probably every row going forwards from there. But I can fix it if I just believe in myself, I want to say. Because now that is going from there to there. And then if we remove that block, and we put a grey one, yeah, it'll be fine. Everything will be great. As long as they're not noticeable pattern gaps, no one will care. But yeah, I spend a lot of time focusing on incentives and thinking about them, because in life, I think it's good to be surrounded by people that are encouraged. Again, like, if you think about the casino example, the casino is motivated solely for you to spend as much time in there as possible, because they know the stats say that if you spend enough time in there, then eventually they make money. That is the financial viability of a casino, right? And so, you know, they're not actually being nice when they give you things. It's like, well, this is a profit motive decision. And in the same, so like with every other like commercial decision, it's like, oh yeah, it's so nice when you go to Starbucks, they give you like a free drink for every 10 you order or something like that. I'm sure. I don't know if Starbucks even has a reward program, but and it's like, oh, it's so nice they're rewarding loyalty, and it's like, actually, it's a very cynical, calculated move to do this sort of that thing. And I always felt like the better way around it would be actually like, you can, you know, reward loyalty. You can reward these things in your life. Again, if you don't believe it as a corporation does it, people do believe it as a person does it. And trying to reward loyalty in a personal life, it's hard to do. But I think, like, I know, what's an example? Like, so I only realized in about 3 minutes ago, but I've got an important appointment in 7 minutes from now. It's 11:30 a.m. as I record this video. I'm about to spend, there's a bathroom I've got to have entirely replaced, like literally from the ground up, destroyed, turned into an empty room, and then from the empty room, turned back into a, you know, a something room. You know, there's a lot of stuff happening, yeah, very, very expensive stuff, if we're being honest. And so, like, you know, how do I know that they actually, you know, like, I can, also, I can't put grey there as well. Oh, God. Is there a mistake? Oh, no, it's fine. The grey does go there. And it's a weird thing of, like, how do I guarantee that once they have the money, they care about me anymore, you know? I think with almost every service, the answer is, well, you know, there's always the review system. If they mess up, then they know they get a bad review, and the bad review means they get fewer future customers. Boom, we've solved it. So I think, yeah, this purple now goes on top of all the browns. See, if we build in like diagonal layers like this, we go in a lot smarter ways, I think. Oh, is it going the correct way? I feel like the layers are going. I don't think they are going the correct way. You know, like something that really annoyed me is I had to work for an immigration service recently. There was a pigeon on my window. How cute. I had to work for an immigration service recently for not me related reasons, obviously. And they sent a message recently, and I don't know why it like irked me in just the wrong way, but it was they sent a message like, "Oh hey, I hope everything has been going well. You know, did things work? I know if you know COVID, things have been a little slower." And sent a message like, "Oh yeah, here's how things went," basically saying it went well. And I was like, "Oh, that's really great. They cared. That was cool. That was fun." And then afterwards, they're like, "Oh, it's great. Things went well. Here is a review form for you to fill out." And that is the most frustrating thing on the planet. Like, we have one system, one societal system we can use to work out if services are good or bad. And every single company tries to work out the way around it, which is, in case you're curious, like, they waited till they knew I had a good time, and then they told me about I think it's Trustpilot or Review or something, one of those, like, you know, review sites that is impartial. And if you only tell people about those review sites after an experience that is, you know, good, then things are better. Whereas if things are bad, they're like, okay, we'll work with you, we'll fix this, and then just never mention reviews. Just try and make them deal with you and not with the public-facing thing. And again, I don't know why I'm so upset by it. I probably shouldn't be. But it was like, oh, man. You know, the pretending to care, but really it's like, you know, it hurt me emotionally, we could say. It's the same with, like, games. Have you noticed how games will be like, are you enjoying the app, yes or no? If it's no, if you hit no, they're like, yeah, please send us a report. If it's yes, it's like, please review publicly. We want people who are happy to tell the world. And we want people who are sad to keep it as quiet as possible. And it's like, but that's not... Now we're defeating the points of reviews. And I totally understand that you have to do it that way. I totally understand that I released a new map in this last week, Ultra Survival Hexed. I understand that, like, yeah, if there's something wrong with the map, tell me personally. But if you like the map, rate 5 stars. I can understand on that level, but it's also frustrating, right? It's also like, I thought this isn't even reviews anymore. Now I have less trust in the very concept of reviews as a whole. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I've just been too cynical. Or maybe, really, me not being cynical was the real problem all along. All I know is this building is getting worse as I build more, and not better. I was trying so hard for so long, but it hasn't gone anywhere yet. So, I'm going to try and turn it into like a little castle. I like these little andesite spikes. I'm going to build everything up to the level of andesite, and then I'm going to use them as, like, castle turrets or whatever. And then also we're going to dig an entrance in over here. Yeah, look at this. Looking good. But yeah, I thought about it a lot, and that, like, you know what? There are a lot of cases in life where you'll be happier if you don't overthink things, and where if you just go, yeah, things are good, and that's good. Is that viable life advice? I mean, only you can answer that question, I'm afraid, Internet. But yeah, I think that we all have some struggle, something. I think it's interesting that okay, is it brown? Okay, it's grey on top of brown. We got that right. There we go. And so now we've just got to do the last series of browns on top of the purples, and the last series of purples on top of the greys. Yep, purple on the grey, grey on the purple. I thought it would make life so much easier if I, like, did it block by block, like, only placing browns on top of purples, and then only placing whatevers on top of whatevers. But I think what I really just did is I ended up confusing myself to a level that I wasn't expecting in the slightest. And if that's not half the fun in Minecraft sometimes, I don't know what is. Yeah, I think that, I've come to a conclusion in my life that there is a certain level of difficulty you need for things to feel like fine and great, right? I wonder if that's like healthy and fine. But like I I felt like I've been having some lazy weeks recently. Especially, you know, like it genuinely has been hurting me that like the Q&A Saturday seeds and like basically every video has come like at the very latest time it can, because I usually, you know, when I work by myself, I always make sure that a video is done a day before it goes out. And then because I've been so behind, because editors can only edit so much, we've been like behind on everything for a while. Just to simplify, we've been behind on things for a while. And it really like came to a head this last week because every video in the week was late out. And it just made me like feel so lazy. I was like, man, you know, is this even like a job at this point? If I'm, you know, I don't even know how to describe my feelings correctly, but it just felt like, you know, I wasn't doing things correctly, I guess, to put things in a simpler manner. And, yeah, basically, I then, like, realized, like, when I look back at, like, all the third channel videos and the second channel, all the things, like, I even got some, like, shorts made, and then I, like, found a whole bunch of videos that I made but never uploaded for the third channel, because again, it's not a priority to upload things there. I just do it whenever I, you know, have, like, spare moments. And I was like, huh, it's weird how much I do in, like, lazy moments, right? It's weird. Like, I still feel, like, shame for, like, I let people down publicly or whatever. But I also realize that, like, oh, I actually am just very bad at, like, accounting for my own work. For better or worse, right? I don't know. I think generally worse more than better. But, I'm pretty bad at accounting for my own. We're gonna have to go to bed again. You don't? No, we don't. We're gonna place our brown here, and our brown there and there. And then we place one there, and there we go. Boom. We have our outside wall. I wanted to leave it at that, but it looks so empty that I think I'm gonna have to do something on the inside. So let's go to sleep and come up with great ideas. But no, yeah, I realized that the output that I expect is I know, like it's strange to think about the fact that your definition of lazy is different to everyone else's definition of lazy. And yeah, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place like a big old. Okay, I'm gonna stick to this weird pattern concept, because what else am I gonna do? And I'm gonna have a big old line of andesite around the edge, because all of these blocks are unnecessary. Yeah, let's have just a big old line of andesite, and then we could like kind of have it radiate in. That might be fun. Could also be terrible. You know, you don't know until you know with these sorts of things. Also, I feel like I've had polished andesite as a block in one of these previous builds. Did I? I feel like I definitely did. Was it on the... No, I had polished diorite. Very similar block. Actually very different, as it turns out. But, it's funny because the lesson I took from that was not like, oh, I expect too much from myself. I should, you know, I should expect less. And then I think it's actually just like, you know, like, appreciate when you're getting a lot from yourself. But also, I feel like like, I would describe myself as a pretty lazy person. Like, I would, you know, like, me doing most things is, like, getting the minimum amount done, and then getting out there, and working whatever else. And, I think that's usually seen as a lazy characteristic. But to me, it's always been more like, I would prefer to work on things for fun, you know, for want, rather than by force, you know? If I have to fill out this giant form, I'm going to fill it out as quickly as possible, because the form doesn't affect me and my life in any way, most of the time. Sometimes it can, and it will really mess me up if I do that, I imagine. But it hasn't happened yet, and so it probably is never going to happen, I can assume. So we're just going to have a big old ring of cracked nether bricks now. And we're going to see if this same vibe on the inside looks better or worse, or just the two things combined create too much of a mess for anyone. Yeah, I feel like the actual lesson is like, if you expect more from yourself, like you have to expect a realistic amount. You can't be like, I'm going to be the Queen of England by tomorrow. But if you expect more from yourself, and as long as it is an amount that you can achieve, although the amount everyone can achieve is arguably very different, but if you expect more from yourself, you end up in a level where when you expect more from yourself, you start to try and fulfill that. That becomes your expected. You know, like if your like extreme stretch goal is like, today if I make it to the shower, that'd be amazing. Then when you've done that, you're like, yeah, exceeded expectations. We are good to go here. Like I think that expecting like basically the max amount you can do from yourself is like both terrible life advice, like you can only do it for so long, but also like maybe some of the best. I don't know for sure. Maybe it's gonna have some long running ramifications that I'll regret later. But for now, at least, things are entirely fine. Or maybe the real lesson here is like we'll change things up. I mean, it is an inevitability that at some point the way we approach uploads on this channel will change. Again, one of the things I've always been scared of, and one of the reasons I was always so scared of having editors to begin with, is like every video on this channel now costs a minimum amount. It's not like, again, YouTube should be the cheapest business in the world. It's just I am talking to my recording software and stuff, but it's not, because I have to, there are people who need money in exchange for making the videos that you are watching right now with your eyes. And so now it's like, well, if a video can't get, I don't know, X number of thousands of views, then it makes an active loss for the channel, right? And these Let's Plays actually fall in that category most of the time. Like, yeah, it makes less money than if I didn't make a Let's Play. Yeah, it puts you in a really interesting camp on that one of like, I think once you start to do that, it's like, yeah, you can create higher costs than just not. And I've always been scared of that as a concept of like putting active work into something and making it worse. And it's one of those fears I confront on like a semi-regular basis, because I feel like everyone has a thing in their life that they're trying their hardest at, and somehow trying their hardest has made it worse. And the lesson you can take from it is never clear. Like, so am I just not meant to care about anything? It's like, well, that's not quite correct either. It's just like, yeah, sometimes things suck, and you take a break, you cool off, you reflect, and maybe everything's better on the other side, or maybe it's the worst it'll ever be, and that's the end of everything. Who knows for sure which it is sometimes. All I know is my little sofa pit concept, which I was dreaming off so dreamily, is actually, again, I'm liking the look of this so far. I'm liking the look of this a lot so far. So I'm going to place another nether brick. Oh, I can't place a nether brick ring. I'm going to place a few nether bricks around. If I've got 18 of them, that's 5, 5, 4, 4. So if I place like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can just place 7 here and then 7 on the other side and then call that a day. And then that leaves me with like 2 for each side. Over here. Over here. And over here. And over here. Yeah, there we go. Perfection, I think you'll find. I don't know what we did today. I look at this and I go, did we need to? Was this worse than not? And all I say is that if you enjoyed this Let's Play, let me know with a like, favorite, subscribe, or whatever else. Yeah, so let me know what you think I should do in terms of these sorts of things. Should should we try and add editing and magic to the Let's Plays? Or should I try and keep things simpler so I can just edit it myself the day I make it, upload it, and, all it costs is like a thumbnail or whatever? Because I genuinely am struggling with that one. And if you want to support the channel so that we can make dumb decisions on each video because they're made up for otherwise, you can become a channel member. But I've been pushing that too much recently, so, don't reward me for my e-begging. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, because I'll see you all in the next one. What is this? Goodbye.